My brain felt as if it had been marinated in molasses. The first impulse to break through was a primitive one. Thirst. I craved water. I had never known a throat could feel so dry. I tried to call out, but my tongue had been dry-caked to the bottom of my mouth. A figure entered the room. When I tried to sit up, hot pain ripped like a knife down my neck. My head fell back. And again, there was darkness. When I awoke again, it was daytime. Harsh streaks of sunlight slashed through the Venetian blinds. I blinked through them. Part of me wanted to raise my hand and block the rays, but exhaustion would not let the command travel. My throat was still impossibly parched. I heard a movement, and suddenly there was a woman standing over me. I looked up and saw a nurse. The perspective, so different from the one I was used to, threw me. Nothing felt right. I was supposed to be the one standing looking down, not the other way around. A white hat, one of those small, harshly triangular numbers, sat like a bird's nest on the nurse's head. I've spent a great deal of my life working in a wide variety of hospitals, but I'm not sure I've ever seen a hat like that outside of TV or the movies. The nurse was heavyset and black. Dr. Seidman. Her voice was warm maple syrup. I managed a very slight nod. The nurse must have read minds because she already had a cup of water in her hand. She put the straw between my lips, and I sucked greedily. "Slow down," she said gently. I was going to ask where I was, but that seemed pretty obvious. I opened my mouth to find out what had happened, but again, she was one step ahead of me. "I'll go get the doctor," she said, heading for the door. "You just relax now." I croaked, "My family. I'll be right back. Try not to worry." I let my eyes wander about the room. My vision had that medicated shower curtain haze. Still, there were enough stimuli getting through to make certain deductions. I was in a typical hospital room. That much was obvious. There was a drip bag and IV pump on my left, the tubes snaking down to my arm. The fluorescent bulbs buzzed almost, but not quite imperceptibly. A small TV on a swinging arm jutted out from the upper right-hand corner. A few feet past the foot of the bed, there was a large glass window. I squinted, but could not see through it. Still, I was probably being monitored. That meant I was in an ICU. That meant that whatever was wrong with me was something pretty bad. The top of my skull itched, and I could feel a pull at my hair. Bandaged, I bet. I tried to check myself out, but my head really did not want to cooperate. Dull pain quietly boomed inside me, though I couldn't tell from where it originated. My limbs felt heavy, my chest encased in lead. "Dr. Seidman." I flicked my eyes toward the door. A tiny woman in surgical scrubs, complete with a shower cap, stepped into the room. The top of the mask was untied and dangled down her neck. I am 34 years old. She looked about the same. "I'm Dr. Heller," she said, stepping closer. "Ruth Heller." Giving me her first name. Professional courtesy, no doubt. Ruth Heller gave me a probing stare. I tried to focus. My brain was still sluggish, but I could feel it sputtering to life. "You are at St. Elizabeth Hospital," she said in a properly grave voice. The door behind her opened and a man stepped inside. It was hard to see him clearly through the shower curtain haze, but I don't think I knew him. The man crossed his arms and leaned against the wall with practiced casualness. Not a doctor, I thought. You work with them long enough, you can tell. Dr. Heller gave the man a cursory glance, and then she turned her full attention back to me. "What happened?" I asked. "You were shot," she said, then added, "Twice." She let that hang for a moment. I glanced toward the man against the wall. He hadn't moved. I opened my mouth to say something, but Ruth Heller pressed on. "One bullet grazed the top of your head. The bullet literally scraped off your scalp, which, as you probably know, is incredibly rich with blood." Yes, I knew. Serious scalp wounds bled like beheadings. Okay, I thought that explained the itch on top of my head. When Ruth Heller hesitated, I prompted her. "And the second bullet?" Heller let out a breath. "That one was a bit more complicated." I waited. "The bullet entered your chest and nicked the pericardial sac. That caused a large supply of blood to leak into the space between your heart and the sac. The EMTs had trouble locating your vital signs. They had to crack your chest." "Doc," the leaning man interrupted, and for a moment I thought he was talking to me. Ruth Heller stopped, clearly annoyed. The man peeled himself off the wall. "Can you do the details later? Time is of the essence here." She gave him a scowl, but there wasn't much behind it. "I'll stay here and observe," she said to the man, "if that's not a problem." Dr. Heller faded back, and now the man loomed over me. His head was too big for his shoulders, so that you feared his neck would collapse from the weight of it. His hair was crew-cut all around, except in the front where it hung down in a Caesar line above his eyes. A soul patch, an ugly smear of growth, sat on his chin like a burrowing insect. All in all, he looked like a member of a boy band gone to serious seed. He smiled down at me, but there was no warmth behind it. "I'm Detective Bob Regan of the Hazleton Police Department," he said. "I know you're confused right now." "My family," I began. "I'll get to that," he interrupted. "But right now, I need to ask you some questions, okay? Before we get into the details of what happened." He waited for a response. I tried my best to clear the cobwebs and said, "Okay." "What's the last thing you remember?" I scanned my memory banks. I remembered waking up that morning, getting dressed. I remembered looking in on Tara. I remembered turning the knob on her black and white mobile, a gift from a colleague who insisted it would help stimulate a baby's brain or something. The mobile hadn't moved or bleated out its tinny song. The batteries were dead. I'd made a mental note to put in new ones. I headed downstairs after that. "Eating a granola bar," I said. Regan nodded as if he'd expected this answer. "You were in the kitchen?" "Yes, by the sink." "And then?" I tried harder, but nothing came. I shook my head. "I woke up once before. At night. I was here, I think." "Nothing else?" I reached out again, but to no avail. "No, nothing." Regan flipped out a pad. "Like the doc here told you, you were shot twice. You have no recollection of seeing a gun or hearing a shot or anything like that?" "No." "That's understandable, I guess. You were in a bad way, Mark. The EMTs thought you were a goner." My throat felt dry again. "Where are Tara and Monica?" "Stay with me, Mark." Regan was staring down at the pad, not at me. I felt the dread begin to press down on my chest. "Did you hear a window break?" I felt groggy. I tried to read the label on the drip bag to see what they were numbing me with. No-go. Pain medication at the very least. Probably morphine in the IV pump. I tried to fight through the effects. "No," I said. "You're sure?" "We found a broken window near the rear of the house. It may have been how the